YouTube, MamaKautz's here, and I'm going to talk about Prepping 101, basically how we started prepping and what were the first things that we got together when we decided to become preppers. We started out with basically just your rice and beans, white rice and pinto beans from Costco in the really big 20-pound bags, and then it got a few of those together and got those ready for long-term food storage in our buckets. And we also did some vacuum sealing on those. And I also did some canning with the pressure canner on those beans, which you can find a post about that on my blog. Then we went down and kind of did 1 pound bags of the mixed soup beans and that kind of thing to add some variety. You could also find beans at cash and carry and those types of places. We went from there and ended up getting canned foods, and I started couponing. Started accumulating a lot of canned foods that way, not stuff that we normally would eat, because I tried to eat not paleo but clean eating. But the couponing made it possible for us to really accumulate a lot quickly, and so that was a great asset. And I was also able to backstock a lot of toiletry items by using the coupons. So that's something that you might want to think about doing. You can go ahead and call your local newspaper and get 3 papers at a time delivered on a Sunday. And that way you get 3 papers makes that many more coupons. Another thing that we started doing was water. And we were able to acquire some 50-gallon barrels on Craigslist. So we put those along like under the gutters to collect rainwater. We live on a well, and so we went ahead and bought a well pump, really expensive well pump offline, off the internet, and then have since found ways to make that same well pump for much cheaper than we paid for it. So definitely do your research before you decide to get one if that's something that you are able to have because you live on a well. And I do get a packet of water usually every time I go to Costco. You can get a 36-pack, I think, of bottles for like $3 or $4. Super cheap and way cheaper than the grocery store. Toilet paper was another thing that I'm very much into keeping prepped. And we are fortunate that we have the room under the stairs to store these kind of items. And we've also got a 5-bedroom house and 2 kids have moved out. So there's no room for them to ever come home if they need to because the rooms are taken up. So a couple other things that we started out with: peanut butter was something else that was super important for the proteins. Spaghetti sauces, those kind of things. Sugar and flour are also a couple of items that I did. And that was, we vacuum sealed those into smaller containers, and then we store them in 5-gallon buckets. You can get the 5-gallon buckets pretty cheap. I know Winco carries them in their bulk food section, and I also know that you can get them sometimes for free or only $1 or $2 from your bakery, because they're the food grade buckets that had frosting in them. So that's a really good option too, and that's a good way to stay frugal with the food storage. The cheaper that you can do it, the better. We did start accumulating a few of the 25-year shelf life items for the freeze-dried section at Walmart. I don't have very much of that at all, and I've ordered a few of the August and Farms ones, and I think that we're going to probably start selling Thrive foods because they are so yummy. Of all of the ones that I've tasted, Thrive food is the best tasting. So if you happen to be a Thrive person that sells them, let me know and maybe I'll sign up under you. Some of the other things, I started buying potatoes from Costco, and I slice them up with a mandolin, and then I I dehydrate them. That was one of the very first products I got too, on Craigslist, was an Excalibur dehydrator. I dehydrate everything I can. You can get frozen vegetables at Costco super cheap in the 5-gallon bags, and just throw them on the dehydrator just like that. Great way to start accumulating things in your back stock. And it's just easy. It's easy to do, and it's healthier for you than canned foods. Not as nice as a garden, but my garden did not do very well. So that's one of the things I really need to start working on this coming year, is making sure that my garden grows. we would think with as many chickens and pigs that we have had, we've got great compost, but I haven't caught the handle on that yet. But that's a whole nother video. So those are the things. Oh, spices was another thing. Bulk spices at Winco are a good option, or we have a little place up in the next town that I'm able to buy spices fairly cheap, because you can have all the rice that you want, but it's not going to taste very good if it's just plain white rice and you have nothing else to make it taste good. So those are the things that I first started doing and accumulating just in the very first month or so, when I decided that this was something that we needed to do. Just getting some basic food staples quickly and getting a backstock started. And then we quickly ran out of room and had to move into another room and move stuff around. And that was a blessing to have to do that. And we're growing out of that room quickly too. We need to get more shelves. So anyway, YouTube, that was just a quick rundown of how we started, or what we started prepping in the very beginning. You can find more on my blog at MamaKautz's.com. If you have any questions, you can email me at MamaKautz's@gmail.com. And that rounds out our Prepping 101. Next week, I want to talk about how much food you need to have and for how many people. And we'll discuss the amounts there. Great. And thanks for sticking around. Bye.